Hi there. Good afternoon and welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody's doing good. For today's video, I wanted to have a quaint discussion about dreams and their meanings because over the past 2 to 3 days, I've been having some pretty weird and vivid dreams.
Is any of this for real? Or not?
And I just felt like I should just share the dreams themselves and the potential meanings of the dream. Let's just start off by mentioning that I've been going on a spiritual journey, which includes fasting during specific times, more specifically when the moon is in my zodiac, which is Sagittarius, and it was from October 17th through the 19th, which is ironically around the same time I was having these extremely vivid dreams. I'd honestly gotten one that I could wake up and recall like almost every detail from every single night of me fasting. The first night was a classic. Kind of weird, but I was just standing out in an open field during a windy fall evening. There was crisp orange leaves rustling past my feet and a gust of wind that was strong enough to ruffle my clothes. I was just standing there, viewing myself from a third-person perspective. Long story short, I was just there with my arms slightly out in front of me and I could feel myself being lifted up. Like a tugging sensation, as if I was trying to float away. Either from the wind or an internal power. I don't know. But before anything significant happened, I woke up. So I decided to label this dream as an I was flying dream. With a quick Google search, I found the basic, thing they say about dreams when you're flying. Dreaming about flying can symbolize a sense of freedom and independence. Flying in a dream often represents a sense of liberation, breaking free from limitations, and experiencing a newfound sense of independence. It may reflect a desire for freedom in your waking life or a sense of empowerment. And so that's what I choose to believe it means. That I have a desire to be free. As one does. The more I sit with myself and the more I think about it, what more could it mean other than the ultimate freedom from everything earthly, right? On the second night of my 3-day fasting, October 18th, I had a bit more detailed and intense dream. From what I remember, the dream started off with a loud shockwave that came from the air, and immediately, everybody in the vicinity of the big city that I was in burst into chaos. Like the classic women and children screaming and everyone around was running and falling over each other trying to get away from a descending aircraft. When it was low enough, a few pieces of what looked like the craft itself broke off and rolled down onto some buildings, causing shattered glass to fall, killing some people. The parts that came down off the ship turned out to be robots, like Transformers. They were alive but mechanical. And the next few hours in the dream was of me having close encounters with the invaders. The military ended up being there and was a catalyst for me to escape at one point. I was in another open field near some trees watching them shoot at the robots with some explosives. Just as one was about to get me, it turned its attention to the group of people who were shooting, giving me time to escape. The most memorable thing about that dream, though, was when one of the robots was chasing me, but I was inside of a building, like an office building with a lot of windows. You could see it running outside the windows of the building, and you could see me running the whole time through every room because, again, the building was made of glass. I'd pretty much ran through the full length of the building, and the robot had me cornered, telling me to just give up. He would have my life whether I wanted him to or not. Eventually, I was pinned down in kind of a ditch, and a big mechanical hand was just slamming down trying to smash me. But obviously it couldn't reach because, it was such a tight squeeze and I was cornered up that the hand couldn't reach. And just when I thought it would get me, a guy with ice powers saved me. Kind of like the guy from Incredibles, if you can imagine that. And seeing him battle to help me escape made my body get extremely hot, and I started glowing, like light came from my skin, as if I was awakening my own powers. But of course, just as I was about to get into action and help with the robot, I woke up. An alien invasion dream is pretty vague depending on, the specifics of the dream itself. It's pretty touch and go. But for the most part, there's 3 potential interpretations of an alien invasion dream that I want to focus on. The first one being a need for exploration, which is kind of similar to having dreams of flying. The second interpretation could be a need for connection. Oftentimes we look at external forces as something to fear or to oppose because of an enemy that's unseen or an enemy out there, when really a connection is all that's required in order to see that there's nothing to fear, whether that be a connection with yourself and others or a connection in general, so that we can get past all of the turmoil that's alive and well in the world that we live in today. And the third interpretation is a need for change. Again, whether that's internal or external, whether it's the way of the world, maybe something does need to change. Who knows? I know, crazy. But the third night was by far the craziest one. I remember the dream in sections because it was so choppy during the time I was having the dream. And the main focus wasn't directly on me, but I did witness everything that was going on from a first person perspective. Like I had a front row seat. I was standing at a counter as if ordering food in like this old timey diner. And everything was normal until a big dude with a rainbow crepe walked up to me. He stared at me for a little bit, and just as he was about to take a bite of his crepe, some girl stepped in between us, snatched his food, and took a big bite of it. And she started smiling and dancing. He was of course upset, but more so shocked as we both watched her outfit go from normal to glitchy, and it completely changed into a big fur jacket, boots, a crazy wig, and crazy colors. Different scenarios kept happening that were far out and goofy, but every time something went on that wasn't like the norm, our reality would get wacky. She was still standing near me through each iteration though. After she had transformed, she was just there, watching each time happen, kind of giving me a look in between each one, until I realized the pattern of what was going on, and I looked at her, realizing who she was, that I knew her. Jobu Tupaki? She sarcastically asked me, "Who, me?" Giving me a smug smirk. Then she just turned away and walked out with a sass level of over 9,000. I know, that was a lot. Now, I know all these were all over the place. I know. And the last one even was directly tied to a movie that I watched before, Everything Everywhere All at Once. But I just felt that these dreams and the time period that I had them would make for a nice, interesting discussion, and that it could spark some compelling conversations. So don't forget to leave a comment or 2 down below. Give this video a like if you enjoyed today's content, and don't forget to press that sub button if you want to be alerted for whenever I post content similar to this video. As always, thank you for tuning in for today's wild thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Dream big, everybody.